Hi guys, so welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be showing you guys how I make Salara, also known as red cake or coconut fingers. So for this recipe, you'll need some flour, you'll need some salt, you'll need some instant yeast or rapid rise yeast, you'll need some fat. I'm using butter. You can use margarine or whatever you choose. You're going to need some brown sugar, an egg, some coconut milk, and some water. So to start, I'm going to dump my coconut milk with my water and my sugar, and I'm going to mix this around until the sugar dissolves. So you might want to warm this. My coconut milk was already warm, so that should do the trick. I'm just going to mix this around until all the sugar dissolves in here, just to show you guys what I'm doing. This should be warm enough, and all the sugar is going to dissolve in there. And then I'm going to set this to the side, and then I'm going to grab my flour and I'm going to add my yeast. I'm using instant yeast. You can use rapid rise yeast, anyone works. So I'm going to dump my yeast into there. Then I'm going to add my salt, and I am just going to whisk this around so that everything gets nice and combined. All the yeast and the salt gets combined with the flour. I'm just going to show you guys. I'm just going to whisk that around, give that a nice whisk. Make sure everything is nice and combined. And then I'm going to add my fat. I'm using butter, salted butter. So then I'm just going to add my butter, and I'm going to rub it in to my dry ingredients. So I'm just going to do this by hands. Just gonna rub that in. Now I will be using my stand mixer for this recipe, but you can also use your hands to do everything. Either one is fine. You just might need to knead it a little more if you're gonna use your hands, but either one works really well. So I already rubbed in my butter, and this is what it looks like. I will leave a description of the ingredients in my description box. I'll leave measurements, all the correct measurements for all the ingredients will be in the description box. So next I will add my the solution that I made earlier. What I'm going to do, because I'm using instant yeast, I'm going to warm this for about 30 seconds, and then I'm going to dump this in here. So I'm going to warm this up and wash my hands, and I'll be back. Hi guys, so I'm back. So I warmed my solution for about 35 seconds, just so that can help activate my yeast inside of my dry ingredients. And what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to pour all of that in there. Try to get all of that, everything out and into my dry ingredients. And remember, you want to make sure that your sugar is nice and dissolved. And what I am also going to add to my dough is an egg. So you can choose to leave this out if you want. This can be made with or without this egg. I find that the egg makes my dough a little fluffier, a lot softer. So I tend to use it whenever I do this. So I'm just going to put one egg into my mixture. And I will be using my stand mixer. So attached with the kneading hook, I am just going to clip this onto my stand mixer. And I am going to let this knead into a nice soft ball. So that I attached my kneading hook to my mixer, and I'm going to let this knead for about 8 to 10 minutes until it forms a nice soft dough. I'm not going to add any more flour at this point. I'm just going to let the mixer do the work. And then before I roll it out into a ball, I might dust it with a little bit of flour just so I can handle it a little better. So I'm going to let this knead for about 10 minutes, and I'll be right back to show you what that's supposed to look like. Hi guys, so I came back to show you. Now if you find that your dough is a little too sticky, you can go ahead and you can add a little bit more flour. But this is kind of what you want your dough to look like, because you're looking for the gluten. Because you want it to start forming gluten in the dough, because you want it to have a nice rise and you want your dough to be nice and soft. So how do you know that gluten is forming in your dough? You'll see it starts to look like spider webs, kind of like it's starting to pull away. So that's how you know the gluten is activating really nice in there and it's forming inside of the dough. And that's exactly what you want. That will help you get a nice rise on your dough, and it will be nice and soft. So I'll just add just a little bit of flour just so it's not that sticky. I'm not adding a lot, and I'm just gonna let this continue to go for about 7 more minutes. Okay guys, so welcome back. So it's been about 10 minutes since my dough has been kneading, and this is what it looks like. It's nice and soft. So what I'm going to do is I am going to dust my hand with a little bit of flour so it makes it easier to handle the dough. As you can see, it's pretty sticky, but that's okay because that's exactly what I want. That will tell me that my dough will be nice and soft. So I'm just gonna dust my hand with a little bit of flour so it's easier for me to pick this up and roll it out into a ball. I'm gonna roll this into a ball, and then I'm going to put it in a greased pan, and I'm going to cover it with a dish towel. So I'll show you guys how I'll do that. Just trying to get all that good dough off of that kneading hook because we're not going to use this again. So I'm going to take off all that good dough. And then I'm just going to put this in the sink because we're not going to be using this hook again. And I'm just going to dust my hands with some flour. This will help me to be able to pick it up. Not a lot because you don't want your dough to be heavy. You want your dough to be nice and soft. So you see how nice and soft that is? And this is what you're looking for. You're looking for a nice, soft, smooth dough when you're finished kneading it. I'm just going to try and get as much of that as I can. Not really the flour. I think I put too much flour in there, but that's fine. I'm just trying to get all of that in there. But look how nice and soft and stretchy that is. And like I said, do you see the spider webs on that? That's the gluten right there, guys. And that's exactly what you need. So I am going to put this into my grease bowl. Just like that. Put it into the grease bowl. And what I am going to do is I am going to cover this with a dish towel for about 45 to 50 minutes. It depends on where you are, your climate, if your kitchen is hot, if your kitchen is a little damp. So you just want this to double in size. So I'm going to set this to the side, and then I'm going to get started on the filling, and I'll show you what that's supposed to look like. Hi guys, so welcome back. So while my dough is rising, I will show you guys how I make the filling. So we'll need some grated coconut, about 4 cups. We'll need some vanilla extract. We'll need some nutmeg. You can use ground clove if you want. I just prefer the nutmeg. I mean, either one works fine, or you can do both. It is definitely a personal preference. And some cinnamon, some white sugar, and I'm going to be using the Wilton brand red food coloring to color my filling. So to start, I'm going to just add my coconut flakes, my grated coconut to the pan. I'm going to add my sugar to that, and I will be cooking this down just so everything gets nice and incorporated. And I feel like it's better when you cook it on the stove. I added my vanilla. I'm going to add my nutmeg. That was my cinnamon, I'm sorry. And my nutmeg. And I'm going to let this cook for about 2 to 3 minutes. And then once that's nice and cooked, I will add my food coloring. And I will let that cook for about 5 minutes on the stove. 5 to 10 minutes on the stove. And I will come back and show you guys what that's supposed to look like. So I'll be back in a few minutes. Alright guys, so it's been about 10 minutes, and this is what my filling looks like after I cooked it down for about 10 minutes. And oh my god, it smells really good. So what I am going to do is I'm just going to cover this down and set it to the side while the dough is still rising. It hasn't been 45 minutes quite yet, so all that those flavors will get nice and soaked into this. So I'll just set this to the side, cover it down and set it to the side. And now I'm going to show you how I make my glaze to put on top of my Salara after they come out of the oven. So I'll show you that, guys, that in 2 minutes. Just let me get my ingredients and set this to the side. So I'll be back. Hi guys, so welcome back. So I'm going to show you guys how I make my glaze for my Salara. So what you'll need is about a 1/4 cup of water. You'll need some butter, and as usual, I will leave the description of the recipes and the measurements in the description box. And you'll need some granulated white sugar. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to put this on the stove and bring it to like a boil until this thickens up. So how you will know that this is ready is that it will start crystallizing at the side of the pot. But the thing about this is you will have to keep watching it. So you'll just have to keep washing it and kind of stirring it around and making sure everything is, you know, it's not burning because it is sugar. So I'm going to put this on the stove, and then once it gets done, I will bring it back and show you guys what that's supposed to look like once it starts to thicken up. So we get that nice sticky glaze on top of the Salara. Hi guys, so this has been cooking for about 10 minutes. So you'll know it's ready once it starts looking like this. As you can see, it's kind of starting to crystallize at the side of the pot. So, and it's bubbling nice. So you'll know that it's ready once it starts to do that. Like it's thickening up really nice. So that's it, guys. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn the stove off. I'm going to take this off the heat and just set this to the side. And this will be the glaze that will go on top of our Salara once it comes out of the oven. So I'll see you guys soon. Hi guys, so welcome back. So it's been about 45 minutes since I let my dough sit. So I'm going to check it now and see if it has doubled in size. Oh my God, look at that, guys. So my gluten definitely worked into my dough and it's nice and soft. So what I am going to do is I'm going to punch all that air out. And then I'm going to dust my surface with a little bit of flour. And we are going to roll this out about 1 inch thick. And then we're going to spread all that glorious filling on top of that. So at this point, you might want to go ahead and preheat your oven. So whenever I'm making anything that entails dough, I guess absolutely everything I make, I always have like a water bane inside of my oven because that keeps the moisture inside the oven and it avoids anything that you're making. It keeps it from drying out. So I'm going to fill my pan with some water so I can have my water bane. And then I am going to turn my oven on to 350 degrees so that it can preheat while I roll this out. And I'll be back and I'll show you guys how I roll this out, how I fill it, how I baste it with an egg yolk. And then we're going to put this baby into the oven. So once again, thank you guys for watching and I'll be back with you in just a few seconds. Hi guys, so I went ahead and I dusted my surface with some flour. So what I'm just to prevent it from sticking, my dough from sticking. So I'm gonna punch my air out. Oh, look at that. This is, so you can see how clean it comes out because I greased my bowl. So that's a good tip to grease your bowl. And look at how nice and stretchy my dough is. I think you guys have realized by now that stretchy, soft dough makes me really excited because that means that I did something really good where my baking is concerned. So what I'm going to go ahead and do now is I am just going to knead it just to get out all those air pockets. And then I am going to roll it out with my rolling pin. I'm just not kneading it too long. Just a light knead just to get out the air pockets that formed when the dough was rising. And I'm going to try to roll this about, I guess 1 inch thick. It depends on how flat you want it. First, I am going to separate my dough because I am going to be making 2 logs. So I forgot to do that. So I'll just grab my cutter. I'm going to separate this because we're going to be making 2 logs. So I'm just going to try and average this, you know, as average as I can. If you have a scale at home and you're that precise and you have that much OCD, you can go ahead and do it that way. Just going to try and eyeball it, you know, as best as I can. Just cut that down. Make sure my surface is still floured. And then we're going to start working with this one. Okay. So I'm going to take my rolling pin at this point and I'm just going to roll it out. Try to get it into like a rectangular shape. That way I can add my filling. I'm just gonna move it around so I get to work with it a little better. And this dough is so soft, you guys. And that's exactly what I want. Now, if you find that your dough is a little too sticky, of course you can go ahead and add some more flour. So it's a little easier to work with. But don't add too much because the more flour you add, the heavier your dough will tend to get. And if you find it sticking, just add about a little bit more flour to prevent it from sticking. I'm just trying to get it as big as I can because I want this to be like filled with that luscious filling. And guys, the filling smells so good. So that's it. So previously I told you guys that you'll need an egg for this step. So what I went ahead and did is I separated my egg into egg whites and yolk. So I'll go about with my egg whites, and I'll just base with my pastry brush. I'll just base the corners of my pastry dough. Now this helps seal the dough together. Now you can use water if you want to, but since I already needed the egg yolk, I figured why not just use the egg white that I already have on hand. And at this point I am going to go ahead and fill my dough with that filling that we made earlier. Now you can put as much filling as you want. Right now this step is definitely a personal preference. You can put all this filling between your two doughs, between your two logs, or you can just put one, or you could just put as much as you want. I mean, like I said, it's all a personal preference of how, you know, filled you would like your dough. Guys, this filling smells like heaven. Like I said, it's a personal preference. Now I'm seeing just a few chunks of my coconut. Some that didn't get grated that well. So I'm just going to pull that out. But yes, you want to spread this out as much as you can. I usually use my spatula, but I can't seem to locate that right now. And I don't want to keep you guys waiting any longer. That's my oven going off, telling me that my oven is preheated. And like I said, it is wise to keep that vein of water. At least that's what I do. Again, that's a personal preference. I feel like my stuff, you know, tends to come out a little softer, especially my bread. I always do it with my bread, but I do it with anything I make. I feel like my cakes are a little moister. Whatever I make that has dough or flour, which is damn near everything, it tends to come out a little moisture. So what I am going to do now is I'm going to roll this as tight as I can. It's just like you're making a cinnamon roll, you know. You're just gonna roll it so you get all that nice swirl that comes inside of, you know, a Salara. Do you know that Trinidadians call these coconut fingers? I did not know until the other day. So you're just gonna roll that nice and tight, just like that. Now that that egg white is working as a glue. You don't want to roll your dough too thin because it will, your coconut will kind of show through, and that's not what you want. And that's one log, guys. So what I went ahead and did is I greased one of my baking sheets, and I'm just gonna put that, so you just want to tuck the ends under so it kind of sticks in, you know, creates that kind of a seal. And then I'm just gonna press this down just a little bit to create a nice log. And there you have it, guys. And what I will do next is I will base the top of this with the egg yolk that I separated earlier. This will give it that nice golden color. So I'm just gonna do that, and this should be enough egg yolk for both of my logs. And like I said, you do not have to add all that coconut. My next one, I probably won't add that much filling because my husband prefers it without that much filling, but I like it when the filling is like oozing out. So that's it, guys, and we're gonna push these in the oven for about 25 minutes, and just until it gets nice and golden brown. So I'll be back. I'll roll out my other one, and I'll come back after these are finished baking, and I'll show you guys what it looks like after and what I do after. So see you guys soon. Hi guys, so welcome back. So it's been about 25 minutes, and this is what the Salara looks like. So it's baked to perfection, nice and golden brown. So remember that that mixture we made earlier, basically the sugar and the butter. So as soon as the Salara comes out the oven, what I will do is I'll take my pastry brush and I'll take that nice liquid, that glaze, and I will just brush the top so it gives that nice sticky glaze which add a little touch of sweetness to it. Now, this can be enjoyed with or without this glaze. This is also a personal preference, but look how beautiful that looks. So what I like to do next is I like to go ahead and I also like to put a little bit of sugar on the top, white sugar. So I will just kind of take a spoon of some sugar and I'll just dust the top lightly, not using too much. I'll just lightly dust the top, and there you have it, guys. That is one log of beautiful Salara, also known as coconut fingers, also known as bread cake. So I will cut into this baby. I will let it cool for a few minutes before I cut into it, so because this is really, really hot and I don't want to handle this while it's so hot. So what I will do, I'll leave this to cool and I'll cut into this and I'll come back and I'll show you guys how beautiful those nice, succulent, soft layers look like. And you guys should try this soon because it's so good. All right, guys, so I let this go for about 4 minutes. So I'm back and I am just going to cut into this because I want you guys to see. Do you see how nice and soft that is? This is the end, and look how good this is. And this is the end of the Salara, but look how good that looks. Now my coconut is a little chunky than usual, but you can make yours a lot more, I guess, grated a little more, but mine, I think this is totally fine. I just want you guys to see what the inside of this soft, it's so soft, and that's what I love about it. Look at those rolls, guys. Look, just look at that. Just look at how that breaks apart. Do you see all that nice filling in there? This is what Salara should always look like. And it's nice and soft and moist, and this is so good. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. So thank you so much for watching. I'm gonna go ahead and cut these up and just set them aside. Once again, thank you guys for watching my channel, and I hope you enjoyed. Please don't forget to leave your comments and hit the subscribe button. Thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a good day.